Welcome to the Slade Ham Experiment. I'm your host, Slade Ham, and on this episode, I have a very special guest in the studio. A good friend of mine, a Houston icon, former rapper turned comedian, Chingo Bling. You might know him from his rap career. He had mixtapes out that included guests such as Pitbull and Paul Wall. His comedy special, They Can't Deport Us All, was on Netflix, way back when Netflix was just starting to air comedy specials. He's an absolute legend, and he's on tour now. We're going to talk in this episode about how you put a tour together, how you put a show together, the creative process, the people that help you, the tools you use, and all of the other things involved. It's not just about comedy. It's about comedy and life. It's two good friends talking about, well, the stuff we know best. You can catch Chingo Bling on tour starting here in Houston, February 23rd and 24th at the Houston Improv, and then he'll be in Lubbock and other cities in Texas. Keep an eye on chingobling.com for all of those updates. But right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy a very wide-ranging conversation with me and Chingo Bling. So when you decide to go on a new tour, right? We're kicking it off. We picked some dates. We got everything together. You're deciding to go out with a brand new show?
It's usually what it is like chunks. It's like the first couple cities, we make sure that like we hadn't been there for a while, and you're working out like a whole new, segment, a whole new chunk, or you work it out ahead of time, so you're doing guest spots. So what I've been doing, what I did prior to leaving, going to California to kick it off, we were cramming, dude.
Yeah.
It was like cram week. It's like, all right, dude, I'm literally in my living room, notepad. We got a little PA microphone. My buddy Juan Perez is there, and he's watching my back. He's just like, all right, more energy, or hey, it's getting wordy right there, or it's your story, man. Just tell your story. Da. Don't forget that one tag, though. And trying to just get it on tape just so I could study something on my cell phone. Yeah. And then it's like, hey, tonight we're going up like 2 spots, tomorrow, same thing.
So you're piecemealing the workouts together, right? I'll take 5 minutes here. I'll take 10 minutes here. Are you working it out joke by joke?
No, I have like, right now I'm working out this chunk, which is basically like growing up, overprotective family, telling a little bit about that, what that was like growing up, some jokes in there. 2 big sisters and a mom, so it's like had 2-3 mamas before that was progressive, before that was a thing. And then talking about navigating, getting in the rap game, and you got 2 big sisters trying to fight your battles. Like, that's your mom entourage. You know what I mean? And just telling stories like the time P. Diddy wanted to sign me, and now he's in the news, so it's a topical thing. And I'm telling my story where I'm like, yo, like, nothing happened, dog. You know what I mean? I never woke up, barbecue sauce on my titties, nothing like that.
How do you remember those chunks of your past? And this fascinates me because that's probably my fault.
Wow. I'm like, I never heard that one. I'm like, Shopify?
Who's the unprofessional in his own show?
Hey, I'm the one that brought you some Scooby snacks. So.
Oh, that explains it. So especially because I'm writing memoir right now, and I'm writing a lot for the stage right now, and I'm constantly writing and more personal and more personal. And I think about, I've journaled my whole life.
Oh, that's great, man. It's so good for you.
Everything captured down. It's just stupid the amount of information. If I wanted to know what happened in October of 2003,
wow,
I could go back and tell you through a series.
So
of
you
writings.
do daily?
Almost daily.
Wow.
I attempt to do daily. I don't always pull off daily. I always pull off 3, 4, 5 times a week.
That's great.
And here's the bonus to that is if you write down all these things, and there's a couple of things I try to capture. Some of them being the things that are problems, the things I'm trying to solve. If you go back and you reread previous, like 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, you can start to see patterns, and you can start to see like, man, I've been chewing on this for 3 years, and in my head, I think it's only been 6 months. Like, there's so much weird time dilation and lies we do to ourselves. And
your perception of things.
Yeah. So when it comes, like when I start writing about things that I only kind of remember or don't necessarily have captured as well as I have some other things captured, that's where I start to get real questioning, because I'm like, man, I find errors in the stuff I do have captured. Like, I thought this was I thought this thing happened with these two people, and it turns out I didn't even meet one of those people till 6 years after this thing.
Yeah.
You're like, I've had this memory in my brain wrong the whole time.
My timeline is completely off.
Completely. So when you're trying to sort of mine those memories for the stage or for whatever else, especially when they involve celebrities or other people, how do you fact check you?
Well, for example, I'm working on one particular story where my big sisters like literally tried to stop somebody from trying to jump me at a car show.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's like, bro, y'all are 40, like relax. And but to fact check myself, I'm always like, I think I'm trying to remember what year it was. On stage, it doesn't matter.
Of course not.
Because I'm like, yo, my booth was popping. Like I had just dropped A Way Way. You know, Taco Shop hadn't came out yet. You know, so I'm giving people. But anyway, I had to call like my ex-manager, like my manager at the time, my buddy David. I had hit him up and I was like, hey, bro, you know that time that my sisters heard they were going to jump me and this and that at the car show? So I'm like trying to get other details, his perspective. Right. Just so that I could flesh out the idea and tell it from like a whole 360. And before I forget, talking about writing and being creative and this is such an awesome studio. It almost reminds me of like the Adam Carolla show that I got to do the other day.
Oh, cool.
And one thing I took away from him creatively is I saw how he had his notes of what he wanted to rant about. So I imagine he just keeps track of stuff that gets on his nerves or whatever. That way, when he's creating this product, this show, he could be like, what's the thing? It's an electric car. I just asked 5 second. The dinging as soon as So he's, I guess, being creative, giving a great product. Rants were on fire. But I started to reverse engineer it, and as I'm waiting in his studio / car garage memorabilia man cave
museum,
man cave hangout, and I'm looking at all the stuff. It's like New York Times bestseller, and like this thing, another show. Oh, is that a movie? And was that based on that? Oh, that's a cool tour. And you're seeing all this product, and you got the Porsche back there, and the Tesla out there, and you're looking, and it's like all that from just having that little system of that discipline or that habit or that routine of I'm keeping track of this specific, if to me it's like things that annoy him, he can rant about, has something to talk about because he's fun to listen to.
Well, so I want to stay on this for a second, then I want to go back and ask a question about what we were talking about. But there's something I've found and this has been in my own process of writing this last special and now this new show. And a lot of that came from, all right, well, one, I gotta write a special in the first place. All right, where's this gonna come from? I don't want to just go up and do an hour's worth of stuff that's in my, that I've been doing. I want to do something that feels cohesive, right? Has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it sort of fits under a title and whatever else. So you write all of that and you do all of that, and then you realize that as soon as that's over, you can't tour on that show because it's out. They've seen it. Yeah. You got to have a brand new show. And suddenly, you go from only needing this hour that's kept you alive for 10 years, right? You're out doing the road, you're drinking, you're not making anything, you're just making a little bit of money. But when you start making stuff like this, you got to rewire your brain because you got to turn the faucet on and leave it on. It can't, and that's the thing about Carolla with that list of rants. There's just a point where you go, okay, man, there's never any particular moment that I sit down to write comedy. I've gotten in here and I've mucked with the wiring enough that no matter what I do, taking a shower, going for a walk, driving in the car, sadly eating dinner with people I care about or anything else, the brain is just sucking everything in like a vacuum, slamming it together,
synthesizing,
writing things, and then hopefully you're able to capture them and go, man, this is worth exploration. This is worth exploration. That's what my solo show has always been, like those things that just through the week, man, that's a cool connection. That's a nice thing to be angry about. That's a fun thing to rant or whatever. And then you bring it out and you talk about it. And that's, my God, I can't tell you how much material just sort of comes from, being willing to think about things out loud.
Yeah, I talk a lot about my my kids, my wife, things of that nature. So even as they grow or as life progresses, you come up with other little tags and scenarios to describe them or to show. Or you just remember things like, oh, yeah, my wife did do that in Mexico that one time. And I need to add that and replace. So it's just.
Well, and you also get the benefit of your 35-year-old Chingo doesn't or didn't see the world the same as 40-something-year-old Chingo.
Yeah.
You guys are
now.
Yeah, so you have a totally different perspective, and then your kids are that you had a 35-year-old viewing a certain age kid. Now you're a 40-something-year-old man viewing a different age kid. And every time you reshuffle that deck, every time it slides a little bit, you can almost revisit the same story with two different characters. So that's the cool part. You realize if you just build the machine that can process life into material, into jokes, then everything else you're never gonna run out of life.
Yeah, it's been fun, dude. I'm looking forward to this year. I'm super inspired by what you showed me from your special.
Oh, you got to see you got a first look.
I got a little, hey, what's up, Kickstarter? Y'all about to be ready for that. So I'm super excited this year because I even have, my uncle, Theo Juventino. Y'all might have seen him on my Instagram. He's got he's got a different type of hairstyle than me.
Is it called the moleto?
Yeah, the mullet. But he's working out his segment. You know what I mean? He's having fun with his stuff. So just excited about, all the comics we roll with and who we're going to bring along with us in all these different places. So I think it's an exciting time for stand-up, bro.
So let's talk about that. It is certainly changed from the last time I think even we spoke. It's fast-paced move. It's stand-up comedy has become. It is an online thing. It is shorts and it is easy to make, and the barrier to entry is zero. It's a place though that we have to compete in, I think. And I don't like it. I've been loud and foot stampy about this for a very long time. But I think I'm finally accepting the fact that stand-up comedy is not just, old men talking in dark, smoky rooms at midnight, which is, the romantic version I started with. Yeah. It's now teenagers and filters and fast-paced jump cuts and
subgenres,
Yeah.
All kinds.
Part of me is really angry about that because I feel like it's blasphemous to the thing I love. And then the grown-up part of me is like, this is incredible. People are being creative, and they finally have a way to get stuff out of their heads,
Yeah.
And then I think, well, we had that too. It was just sticks and mud and stuff outside, right? We just had different toys. We were just creatively building our own dumb castles and stuff. And so I go back and forth with this, and with the special coming out, I know I got to make shorts. I know I got to do all this stuff. Are you eagerly participating in this modern thing, or are you?
Honestly, the way I approach it is, I like to be very flexible and open-minded as much as possible.
Teach me.
I'm a white belt.
Teach me. I am so close-minded old man on the lawn with the black
socks.
Well,
I mean, obviously, some people are purists. Some people self-identify for however, or like I'm very vocal about low energy, alty, ironic. Like,
right.
Trust me, I've had people try to host for me. Like you're in some city and you could only bring your feature, and it's like, well, we'll just rely upon the local club, and I forget how important that host role is. So I get my foot stampy my damn self, and I'm like, how could we gave you a hot room? It's like it's to the gills. How could you not have figured it out by show number 4?
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm not allowed to edit my set.
It's just like, what are we doing? Like anybody could have killed right here, but I don't know what you're doing. But anyway, I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu, 4 stripes. So I try to keep myself humble because I just try to have the beginner's mind, and I respect the craft so much. In a way, I'm an outsider in a way because I went about it a totally different way.
But let me push back on that, because 10 years ago you might have been. 10 years in, you paid your dues, and I don't say that lightly. I've congratulated you for this before. It was the first thing it was when I first met you. It was why I had such a respect. You came into the open mic scene like an open micer.
Bomb like the open micers.
Like-
Bomb.
Not just bombed, waited in line to bomb.
Bomb well. Yeah. Patiently bombed.
You waited hours to bomb.
You're very courteous in your bombing.
It was you signed up like anyone else. You
Yeah.
went up like anyone else, and
Yeah.
you took your beating like
yeah,
anyone else.
I had to really, still to this day, because I went up last night, still to this day, I have to still make sure that, like, because all my flaws, all my weaknesses, all the holes in my game get exposed in these type of scenarios, because I get in my head, because it's either like, what percentage of these people have an expectation about me, and then you make decisions like, well, I'm gonna roast the room a bit and start with something local.
You can
You
see
know?
it immediately on the tape too, where your
Yeah.
wheels were turning, the decisions you made, and the
Yeah, instead of like, hey man, you know what you came in to work on, you need to work on that and try to you're conducting an experiment. What approach it's like literally like jiu-jitsu class. It's like, okay, this particular chunk, this 10 minutes I'm gonna work on, because they're giving me 10. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not too scripted. I'm not gonna force any, like, memorizing any type of tag. I'm just gonna try to get through it with some really nice energy and what's the word I'm looking for? Just be good, give a good right brain performance.
Yeah.
Just be spontaneous.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna be Mr. like, I'm fuck, sorry, I missed a tag. No, I want to be kind of loose with
present and loose.
present,
Yeah.
listening in the moment. So that's kind of how I approach it. It's kind of like, you know, I respect the craft and I want to learn. I want to improve. Sure, it's a business. Sure, I want to make money. Sure, we're trying to keep the brand on the up and up.
Well, and there's also a bit of, it's every one of us has been snake bit by the desire to kill a room, where you're like, I want to work on this bit. If I work on this bit is not going to do as well as if I just murder these motherfuckers. And that's you got to pull back and go, you know what? Sometimes experiments hurt. Sometimes you just gotta. These people may leave thinking you're not the greatest comic in the world.
That's fine.
And you go, it's 30 of them.
Yeah.
And when this joke is done in 6 months,
Dude, no. And I'm learning, but I'm a fast learner. All right, I'm learning, but I'm a fast learner, because when we were cramming to try to work out this new chunk before I hit the road, for the paying customers, there was one open mic or one show locally that I went to, and when I was done, it was probably like the first night I went up. Went from the living room, index cards, whatever, legal pad, cell phone. And at the end of my set, I'm like, yeah, so I'll be at the Houston Improv February 23rd, 24th. You know, I'm going to be doing my real jokes. Not, thank you. And my buddy Juan Perez was like, hey, also, like, when you're done, don't tell him. Don't say I'm gonna do my real jokes. And I'm like, I know, bro. I know I messed up.
But you feel it.
It was just a nervous tick of, like, whether it's the ego or whatever. It's just that little. It's filling up instead of, hey man, focus on your stuff and just say, hey, looking forward to seeing you guys. It's where I'm gonna be.
Well, 10 years in, you have a different level of trust that process will end in a good joke than you probably did 10 years ago. I think back to those early years in the iterative process. Right now, I know exactly how a joke gets good. I write a show before I ever go do it. Then I go up and do that hour, and I take cheats, and the crowd knows what they're getting, but they'll go see something that's never happened before. And it's probably, honestly, aside from the fact that they're going to give me a bit of a pass because it's me and it's my crowd and it's a home, they know what they're in for, I'm only going to have a real hit rate of probably 40% or so. Like, I'll get laughs, but the stuff that's going to be kept, it's nowhere near that. I know that I have to go through this. I have to see what it all sounds like in a row so you can go, oh, that's what I got a red line. Oh, that doesn't go there. What were you thinking? But I don't care how good I've gotten so far. I can't do all of that without the stage and the audience. So that's the fun part.
It's exhilarating, dude.
How fast do you iterate? Will you just adjust the joke by the next show?
By the next show. And I never knew that was like a rare thing or somewhat of a kind of a big deal. But like when I was first starting, because I didn't know any better, I was just kind of figuring it out. Someone pointed that out. They're like, "Hey, bro, like you edited, like that's not even what you just did." And I was like, because I saw it didn't work, or I saw what I did wrong, and I saw what I needed to fix. I'm slowly.
I learned so much watching. You only know what you know, right? Like my upbringing in comedy, a lot of it living in my hometown and commuting back and forth to Houston. I knew the Laugh Stop and I knew the open mic scenes and all those guys. But all of those people, when I think back to that, most of them, just funny dudes. None of them owned a notebook. None of them. They would crush the kings of open mic, kings of Houston, all these other things. But you just kind of fall into the rhythm with them. All right, man, we go out, we drink, we write jokes together, we do them at the open mic, we go rock our hour or vice versa, whoever's open and featuring. We play, but we're never really writing anything.
Per se.
Right. And then you get into this process. I was watching people like guys I would feature for way back in the day, guys like Tom Segura and Gary Gulman and people who would come off stage and go straight to the green room and pull out the set list. And
I didn't know what you were going to do. Straight to the green room and pull out.
And then they'd go do it again real fast.
Yeah.
No, they would
go adjust.
And literally between shows, and then I'd watch, and you're seeing this over the course of the week. So 6 shows of watching them change a little bit,
By the end of that weekend, boy.
Whew,
Get ready.
So when it comes time for me now, as I'm doing my own stuff, that's what my process is. It's the notebook. There's 2 clubs in Canada I play that I do back-to-back weeks, and they're like Monday through Sunday rooms. So you get, in 2 weeks, like 25 shows sometimes. It's nuts. But it's the best place to cram because you just start the first night, and by the end of that second week, that's how I whipped this special into. It was the 2 weeks before I came home. I just ran it, man, and I would run it and go to the green room and make a note and go back, and then I'd go back after the shows and watch the tapes, and
you were doing all your due diligence. Hey, if I forget, man, we started off kind of talking about like this new age, all the new age tools, and like the more purist way of like, hey, dude, the world's evolving. A good example, because I have a hard time keeping up a lot of times with how these youngsters move.
Yeah.
So I was tired as a mug when I flew into California to kick off the tour, right? And I had 2 shows, Brea and Burbank, with an off day in between. Well, I had been kind of cramming, like working, like my kids are like, we're daddy. I'm just here for dinner. Daddy got 2 spots tonight. You know, Daddy, a comedian. But so I'm tired as balls in California, and I see Martin Rizzo. He features for like Felipe Esparza, myself, different people, and so he's probably been doing stand up longer than me. But I was just so impressed how, like, you know, he had his little book and he's just always jotting his stuff and he's going over a couple of things, and then he's micing himself up and he's pulling out his tripod, and he goes on stage, does a topical joke about Drake, and he's like, oh, it's like a churro, and he kisses the thing, and I'm like, what is happening? I was like, wow, this is really, really funny. He's like throwing new stuff up there because it's like his studio. There's a hot crowd, there's a camera, and then the next day it's my off day. You know, I'm tired. I'm trying to call home. I got a couple podcasts, but I didn't have a show that day. Now I'm in bed at one point in the hotel, and I'm looking. Martin Rizzo has uploaded his Drake joke, subtitles, jump cut, a good audio, hot crowd, act out. You see his face, his personality, you know, and it's like, oh. So then I saw him the 3rd night I was there in Burbank. I was like, hey, bro. I said, okay. I said, I see what you're doing. I said, next time you see me, I said, I'm going to have my little punk ass book and I'm going to mic myself up. I'm going to stop being lazy because, you know, I was understaffed. So, like, you know, my merch thing, and it's just like, where's my swipey, you know, and I'm juggling, and we were kind of cramming a lot. So, my uncle with the mullet, he didn't come out for the first show. You know, he was tired. It was something about dehydration. And then
hair needs its rest.
Yeah, he was Mile High, man, Mile High Club. So when I get back to Houston, my buddy Juan Perez is like, "Hey, bro, you didn't give away these free give outs. Remember these shirts? You were supposed to go out there with the thing." And I was like, "Dude, it was a lot of details." He's like, "Hey, did you announce the phone number? You know, to have we can get this data, and next time you're in town, we could text him." I was like, I might have fumbled that part. He's like, hey, I saw you broke character on that one. I was like, hey, man.
It's a lot.
I was like, I know. I'm like, I got luggage. I got the rental car. Parking was crazy. Like, the green room was packed.
Isn't the stage like kind of the part we'd do for free? It's you paying me for all that other stuff. You want to know why I'm so damn expensive?
Bro.
Rental cars at hotels and walking
and them early flights. My wife, my wifeager. I love it. You know what? Happy Valentine's Day as we record this. My wifeager, you know, she's like, hey, you've been off for a couple months and the tour just started, you know, so yeah, it's gonna be middle seats for you.
How important is your team?
Oh man, I have a great team. Very important. When you find people that are like, hey bro, call you out on your stuff, or like, hey bro, I'm sacrificing a lot to be here backing you up right now, big dog. You know what I'm saying?
What does their critique look like? How does that? What form does that take? Like,
just holding each other accountable in terms of like, how many hours are we putting in, or like, hey, okay, the goal was to front load the week so that you can be with your family. You can't make it to jiu-jitsu Thursday evening, but we're trying to crank up. You want to crank up the heat on your social media. We trying to do X amount of posts, but you know, oh man, I gotta take my daughter to the thing, or oh man, my bad. You know, I had to ship these things, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, let me know when realistically we working for real.
so two questions. One, how do you choose who's part of the team? And then two, is there a mission statement? Do you guys have a group conversation to make sure you're on the same page? I'm asking because I've attempted to lead groups and of moderate and try to get people on the same page.
It's hard.
Professionally.
It's hard. My wife and I sometimes, you know, we've been a team pretty much since we really got together. So my entire comedy career. And there's conversations where it's like, well, she'll be like, I worked in corporate America and we ain't shit when it comes to leaders right now. You know, because we'll have like, you know, this person started as an intern, but now you got, you know, and it's like, well, you got to lead them, or you don't want to micromanage, but you're also like, hey, what are we doing? Sometimes, you know, you got to just find the most talented people that are in your budget.
Right. And I suppose that they have some creative freedom too, and that's a perk, right?
Yeah. And you know what really works best for me? What works best for me, I'm starting to realize this, is like I'm like a high grade military weapon. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta aim me. You know, like for example, when we crank out whether it's a music idea, like sometimes, hey dude, you gotta get in the studio. We really need something catchy about this week because you know you got the shows coming up, or tours hitting off, or it's the summer, you gotta drop a banger. Hey, it's been a while for a parody. Whether it's something like that, or hey, we need quick content that we can formulate and execute in a like we need to be able to do 20 of these right now.
Quick.
Okay. So what helps me is being coachable and following someone else's lead. Like when you have a dope director and someone like really watching your back, whether it's like, hey, when you get off stage, like even if someone's like, hey dude, you kind of cussed a lot, or you did a whole lot of, what's that? It's like, I was thinking, bro, my bad. Okay, well that's your little crutch. Take out the Like you need, like I gotta be coachable, and
that's
patient.
an incredible, because you're the company owner,
but I need direction.
Hiring a company to come in and audit you, which sounds, you know, there are a lot of people, especially artists, who ego drives the car. And you're not right. You can't be right because you disagree with me.
Yeah, I'm not one of those that's like, you know, when Taco Shop came out, you know, I mean, hey, if you think you can make a taco shop, let me see you make. Yeah, I'm not one of those people.
How do you trust? How do you know who to trust on your team?
I just listen to, like, we'll try it your way, and you know what? If you're really good at communicating and what you're saying fucking makes sense, like, hey, bro. Like, it honestly makes my life simpler, too. If it's like, nah, man, like, let's do it. Let's rock it your way. If you're the one editing this anyway, I'm going to let you tell me, like, no, stand here, say the line, and then we're going to get his coverage.
I have to play tricks with myself. I know how I work. It's just
you spend enough time with your own dumb head, and you go, well, I gotta. It's like owning some old car. Yeah, the key doesn't work, but I know if you touch these two wires together.
Yeah.
That's how I have to trick myself a lot of times. And when it comes to ego and other things, I've found that I can still take credit for the whole thing if you don't just call it, well, I wrote it perfectly the first time. If you go, the whole process from idea to completion is happening under my umbrella, and you allow for other people's input to be part of the process, and it not be something like, oh, you came in and fixed what I didn't get right. No, you came in and helped me fix what I didn't get right, and now it's right. Then suddenly my ego's not bruised. We got a better thing, and it took me, honest to God, until I started doing film work and getting out, because stand-up is so independent.
One-man type of deal.
I'm on the road with my feature. I'm not listening to whoever that may be, right? You're featuring for me. But when you're working in a different discipline, and you're like, I was the Andy Huggins special. I'm in charge, but I also don't. I know I don't know everything, and I know I have people in the room that do know more about specific elements. So would sit down and, man, even you saw the intro. That wasn't the original design. I had some different plans, and I got talked out of them. And now I'm sitting here and I watch things and I just go, oh, how disappointed I would be if I'd gotten my way. And it's enough of that. You're like, all right, I'll listen to anybody.
Yeah, plus a lot of times, bro, like a lot of times my way didn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to hand the keys over. And your example of like, the director of the movie. Well, I witnessed too firsthand, like the little experience I had just being on set and things like that, where a lot of times the director of that particular commercial or what have you, it's a bunch of other little experts bringing them options. So it's like art department's like, hey, so we were thinking like red curtain because at this point of the script, I don't know if you want to go with that type of vibe, or do you want what do you want? Here's 3 different color curtains for this scene or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you said red. Okay. I like that. Yeah, it makes it. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's go with the warmer look. Good, red. And then other experts are like,
and you end up being the person though that, because you couldn't possibly.
Then you're Robert Rodriguez.
That's what I mean. You couldn't but you couldn't possibly think of all these things on your own.
You just got the taste and you're picking.
When you look at, you're the guy though that chose the best from. You need someone to winnow down the best. Bring me the best options, and then I'll choose from that. And when you choose from that, and you do that enough, especially like on a film, where you're picking pieces that the art department brings you, and you're taking cinematography suggestions from your DP, and your sound guy asks, hey, would it make more sense by the time you take all of that?
Like, do you want a dolly shot? And it's like, let's try it.
And you do all of that, suddenly the finished product is yours because you made the 10 choices.
I'll give you an example, dude. I was in this movie called Philly Brown. And I wasn't an actor per se. I was still like, I was the music guy that they kind of brought in, and that someone said he might be able to act.
Yeah, play yourself.
Yeah, in essence, right? That's what they thought. And it was a scene with Gina Rodriguez. She went on to be in all kinds of shit, movies with Mark Wahlberg and all kind of stuff. So we're doing a scene together, and the scene they were shooting right before that, where I'm just still hanging back in the where they're watching the monitors and the directors are there. And the director was pissed, and he was just about to explode because he's just like, bro, I knew this was going to screw us. I knew this was going to screw us. Not enough real actors on this set because it was low budget. It was independent. And you had like different music people, some actors, up-and-coming actors, obviously.
Cameos, whoever you could get.
But you had like Edward James Olmos. You had like Jenny Rivera. She was a big star. Rest in peace. Tons of people, bro. But anyway. So he's pissed. Not enough real actors on this thing. I'm up next. So I got to psych myself out. I got to have Frank Sinatra in my little ear pod. I'm going to do the shit my way. And what do I have to lose? I'm not a real actor anyway. I'm going to improvise. I'm going to talk shit because, I'm going to do me because I got my little bag of tricks. I've been on stage before and so on. So, and I knew the music business. So this was like a music type scene. So I found a reference point. I improvised. I was bouncing back and forth with Gina, and we did this whole scene, and it had a good feel. And he comes in, the director comes in. He's just like, you guys are gonna make me look like a genius. All right, all right, we're making a movie. We're making a movie. Yeah, we're making a movie. All right, let's go. All right, he had a little pep in his shit after that.
Changed the whole direction of the day.
After that, it was checking for me, bro. Richie Valens, what's his name? Lou Diamond Phillips. He gave me props, bro. When this film went to Sundance, I was walking in with my popcorn at one of the screenings. And Lou Diamond Phillips is up there talking to the crowd, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's La Bamba! Oh my God, he did so good in this movie." And he's setting it up. He sees me come in with my popcorn. He's like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad I didn't have any scenes with that kid right there." he says he will literally take the scene and put it in his pocket. He steals every scene. I'm just like, bro, you putting a target on my back.
What a wonderful
I had
compliment,
a lot of scenes.
though.
I had a lot of scenes with a lot of people.
So do you enjoy acting? Do you?
I love it, dude. And that's why I love stand-up so much, because when I have those really good sets and I'm just really, present, comfortable, right brain performance, listening in the moment, having fun, attitude, energy, confidence, and I'm able to play, I'm able to act, I'm able to like really get my timing and really get in that groove, and that pause right there is gonna be so perfect. And that face, like, I'm gonna apply everything I learned from my toolkit. So I'm gonna do thoughts on my face, like, I ain't gotta say it yet, but because I'm thinking it.
Yeah.
And then now they're laughing, and I'm gonna get another laugh after I say the thing.
Your eyebrows gonna be sore in the morning.
Then I'm gonna act it out, and that's just little stuff that me as an artist, as a white belt, just trying to represent, make you guys proud. Like I want to make Juan Villarreal proud, Rick Gutierrez, like just.
Yeah.
I got to hang out with Willie Barcena at his crib doing his podcast, and it was just, such an honor, bro. Like, and I'm so blown away by your special that like you're gonna have to be on my team somehow.
Come on, man. I'm feeling good. I'm making stuff. Let's
Hell
start.
yeah, bro. Keep it going.
I'm excited about where it's. I see this is when I started thinking about making this. I had done the math. This was in early 2023, and I looked at the first quarter of 2023 and how many comedy specials were on track to come out. And when I had done the math, I forget now, but I think it was somewhere around, based on those first quarter 2023 numbers, around 700 specials.
Oh.
Right? 700 hour-long specials. That was everything at the time. And then I guess cameras started to cost $1, because now I would bet there are 1,700 or 2,700. And the words.
Oh, cameras prices went down around that time. First quarter 23.
I don't know, but that's when everybody and their mother decided to start making 3-camera club shoot specials. And the number that I thought I was up against, which was 700 or so, and by the way I had broken it down, almost all but about 100 of those were going to be 3-camera club shoots or YouTube or worse. So I felt like making what I was making, I was entering into an arena where I'm really just competing with about 100 people for really good special eyeballs. But over the course of the year, and everything changed. I was dead wrong on how many specials were coming out. There's more specials right now than I could even. You could never get to them all, of various quality. And I thought for a bit that was going to hurt me. Like, oh wow, everything got too saturated before you got yours out. But now I realize that everything else that's come out is just lower quality and kind of worse. So I think it really gives me a better chance than it might have. It's just more people watching stand up and looking for the good things. So I'm no longer trying to predict anything.
Yeah, dude. Especially, as long as we keep cranking out content. Like one thing that my social media guy Juan always tells me, he's like, bro, I don't think you're understanding these numbers that I'm showing you. He's like, your youthful demographic has passed people your age. He's like, more new people. And then he'll show me, because now I have 2 YouTube channels, right? Got my old one back. And then he'll break down. He's like, I've been working this one this way, using this format or this whatever, this type of content. He's like basically showing me the rate of how these channels are growing in terms of like new people, and which channel might be more stagnant than the other, or what, all the different variables. But it's kind of hard to wrap my brain around that. And that's why I love seeing like the up and comer new guys in in music and in comedy and in everything else, because a lot of times you get to collaborate, with these dudes. You get to learn from them. You get to inspire them.
It's been inspiring. I mean, honest to God, I think about, the way I always viewed comedy and everything else, and it being a bit of a dude on a stage, and you just, the timing is what the timing is, and if it takes however long, it takes however long. But there's also something to the end result of chopping a piece up and doing some jump cuts and figuring out how to tell the story quicker and shorter. And I don't know that it's that terrible of a thing unless you're not doing the long form at all. If you're just doing the short stuff, I feel like you're in a completely disposable world, because clips just don't matter 6 months from now or a year from now. Or God bless the kid making the Rizzo, who's doing the current stuff, which is great and helpful and helps build the audience and all that. But if that's all you do, then there's never a point where you get to look back and go, here's what I did in my career, because it's like throwing pennies on the table instead of a brick of,
Oh yeah,
hundreds.
Of course, yeah. You could get caught up in just disposable, cheap filler. You never want to associate your brand with that.
Are you making a substantial portion off of the social versus the live tour, like in terms of money? Or
no, I hear stories though of like people like Country Wayne, 20 million on Facebook. I'm like, what I gotta?
You should talk to Jerry Wayne Longmire.
Okay.
Who is he is I won't divulge his numbers, but he is doing well.
Nice.
And whatever his output has become, it's just he found a formula that works, and he's really having some success.
Heck yeah.
And he's now it's like 300,000 Facebook followers, and he crossed 100,000 YouTube. So he's hitting all those
great
benchmarks, and everyone he hits tends to just launch him even more upward. It's so weird. It's kind of like the way banks will give you money for having money, and they'll punish you for not having money. That's how social media feels. It's like if you have followers, you can have followers, and if you have none.
Jerry's another example, kind of like Martin, like someone who is like really funny, really good dude, paid dues, ready to, like primed to blow up, and you're utilizing these things to like make sure that people know that this dude's funny. Otherwise, I wouldn't even own him.
Yeah. It's the ability to be the businessman too. How many hours do you work a week?
Oh man, that's a good question, bro. There's some weeks where like we do really well of compartmentalizing everything. Like, all right, Monday we're just podcasting all day. We're getting all that episodes and stuff out the way that we need, for the month, so that's a great efficient way. So it varies, bro. I feel like I definitely put in my 40 hours because like, I also have a family. I got kids, wife, and everything, and my kids have activities, and somebody got to take them to school and stuff like that.
But you can almost count some of those hours too, because your brain's still
in a way, yeah. We always like. You always got your notes on your phone, or you came up with a rap or something.
You mess around, you add another
tag.
10 hours to your week just in just in those moments.
Yeah, but and then so it varies. Sometimes there's weeks where it's like, bro, you're doing like 2 a days. Like you're not going to jiu-jitsu class for the next 2 weeks, bro.
Yeah. And
then there's others where it's like, hell yeah, I went like 2-3 times to jiu-jitsu this week, and didn't miss dinner with the family not once. And
that's the answer I hope to hear. And I only say that I'm a bit overwhelmed by the hustle culture, and we got to burn the candle at both ends, and if you're not working 80 to 100 hours a week, you're not putting it in, and it's like, man, I don't really want that life. I want to spend time with the people I care about, and I want to do the stuff that makes me happy. And a lot of it's this. I would do a lot of this if I didn't get paid for it, right? Like I like making stuff. I like having good ideas, but
being an artist.
I really like not being in airports and not being on the road sometimes and eating at home. And I like playing with my friends. I like my life.
Yeah, I appreciate when I come home. I appreciate home.
Yes.
I mean, I appreciate working and being out there and getting the feedback from different people in different states.
Yeah, it doesn't mean be lazy. It just means that there is also more to life than just hustling to reach some arbitrary goal.
Yeah, dude. And I made a joke the other day at home. I don't know if my wife appreciated it, but my babysitter, my wife was telling my babysitter how cheap I really am. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you a story. One day we were just dating and he broke my ghee butter and he's like, what's the big deal? All this stuff and like basically." Saying like how man you don't even know, telling the babysitter he's super cheap, and then I'm like, yeah, if I had no wife and no kids, I really wouldn't spend on a whole lot of stuff for me. I'd be like, I don't want to say the word free, but but you'd be able to be like, yeah, I'll go to Chicago for about 2-3 weeks and peep the scene and shit, hit the homies up and I'm gonna be out there and everything's gonna be paid back home, cause I did that before too. When I was single, when I was out there in California, and it was just like, and I had one of them flight pass things. Like I knew somebody who was an employee, pass, and you buy the thing. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, they want to hire me to DJ, and we're at Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'm gonna hit the homies up in Chicago. Oh, a gig came in Chicago. I'm gonna kick it out here for a little while and get a tattoo. And
but it's all that. It's good to have. I've had that chunk of my life and I loved it, right?
Yeah.
But there's also
I do love my family. Everybody listen.
But that's what I mean. There's something too with the wife and the kids and the life at home. Yeah. Something that you've already built that matters. Something that's a bit of a center. When you don't have to think about that, right? Like you've solved for that, and you got to work at it, but you've solved it, and it's a good thing. So to not have to think about that allows you to free up chunks of your brain to solve for other stuff creatively. I think it's most of the people, and I used to believe the exact opposite, but all of my favorite creatives, I think, are happily in relationships and stable, good things, and the ones that I know that are still the out there partying, free spirit single.
Yeah, I'm over that, bro.
I still respect it, but I also want to tell them how hard it is to make anything good while you're doing that. It's
you got to find your balance. I'm sure it's possible, but like I feel like I got my rude awakening after this little 3-day run in California, because I felt so beat up. I don't know. The early flights and the late nights and you're having fun, a little tequila, a little bit more tequila, and we're going to a diner. I haven't been Mr. Diner comic after the show for a minute. I usually go home, like do some burpees, call home, do something, and but it's like, nah, man, we gotta hit this diner, bro. And you put a little extra seasoned salt on your thing, and
I got a little 1 a.m. chicken fried steak. And
and
up till 5.
No, and then that's California time. So really, dude, I literally check this out. So I was so busy the first night, which I guess might have been like a Thursday. I was so busy Thursday that my wife, I did check in with her throughout the day. I did check in like once, real quick on the phone. Hey, I'm about to do this podcast. Just, you good? Da, da, da. And she hadn't heard from me because I was at podcast number 3 after the show, and she's like, "Okay, well, going to bed. Texas time, and you kind of forgot about us today," type of thing. And I'm like, "Shit!" So I set my alarm after doing all that, like getting up at 4, going to the Hobby Airport, yada yada. After doing all that, I was like, "Okay, I got to get up 5:30 a.m. because that means my child is getting ready to go to school 7:30 a.m. Houston time," and so that's what I do. It's 5:30, and she's like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Hey, put Penny on the phone," and she's like, "What?" And I was like, "I want to talk to her before she go to school, because that way, I ain't forgetting about y'all." I'm gonna make this right. Valentine's coming up, so she's like, "It's Saturday," and I'm like, "Oh shit." I was like, "All right, well, you see, I'm checking in. I just want to check in," but. I'm very proud of the amount of balance that I have as of late. I used to chase the rap dream so much. It was like, it's like, I don't know if you might want to call it like type A.
Oh, yeah.
It's you're in your head. It's imposter syndrome. It's all this. It's all, I'm too worried about certain people's opinion. I got to go in and prove that I really could rap and whatever. You're only good as your last song. And then I got to get in the lab. When I'm not in the lab, they're in the lab,
When you're playing that game And everything we do is a game. We're all playing some version of something.
Mhm.
It's just rules,
Points.
right? Points and rules. And when you're in that one, and I played it with comedy. There was my first decade was Dave Chappelle or bust, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a place now where I'm just looking at things. I don't even want that. Like, were it to come my way, you're kind of like, nah, that's
Yeah. I want to be under the radar a little bit.
A little bit under the radar because of the things I want to talk about and the things I want to do. I don't know that presidential level attention is not what I want on me. I want a real lab. I want to work with people and think about things and toy with ideas that get a little messy and maybe pass the line and aren't quite appropriate or this or that. And you know what? If nobody comes in this room while we're working, that's probably better.
Hey, Slade's basically what Slade's trying to say is he's like I just want to be that quiet as kept motherfucker. like I just want people to say like, hey dog, quiet as kept. Slade, he the Adam Carolla around this bitch. Like, you gotta pull up at his spot. He got quality products. Like, he's doing all bullshit aside. Slade Ham
is a good lab. It's you're headed on tour. I want to give a couple of dates because Texas is coming up very soon. You're going to be here in Houston February 23rd and 24th at the Improv. Canyon Lake, Texas on March 2nd. Lubbock on the 3rd. All those dates are at chingobling.com. What can people expect from the new show or what you're doing now?
Yeah, man.
Who's out with you? What are you doing? What's happening?
So Javi Luna is heavily represented on this tour. He's a headliner in his own right, but love having him on the road with us. And we're always competing who could like do more exercise. Like he's into frisbee golf and he's out there. But anyway, my buddy Juan Perez will probably be out there with us as well. And depending on like if I'm in California, you might see some of the homies from out
local
there.
Folks,
always surprise guests. Sometimes musical guests. I do a variety of things. My uncle might look familiar on one of the segments, but really just challenging myself. It's called Are We Still Friends Tour. We play the Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend at the end. So I just really want to make as many people laugh as possible. Be the best comic I can be, and just really enjoying this 20 years in the game, 10 years in stand-up.
Dude, you should be very proud of the 10 years of stand-up, and I'm here to tell you you're on this side of the line. You're an OG now.
All right, hey, triple OG.
You're not a new cat coming up, man. You are a polymath in the entertainment
That means
world.
I can start bumping comics at the mics.
Like, you really can.
Hey, player, I don't pay my dues, player.
You really could if you wanted to. I appreciate your humility. I love your talent. I'm excited for the new tour, my man. February 23rd and 24th at the Houston Improv. Who knows? I might even crash that show.
Pull up, bro. Pull up.
This is the Slade Ham Experiment. Thank you guys for hanging out. All things me at sladeham.com. Chingo, thank you for being here. We'll see you guys on another episode soon.